Welcome back to another episode of King Conversations. I'm Chris Evans, and I'm here with my guy Marc Smith. He's setting records. This is the third time he's
Third
been on the
time.
show, uh, and he's got a new project. He's got a new project. Got a new book out. Like you said, the NIL stuff is going well. It's rolling. I'm sure everybody's been following you on social media, but
Yes.
now the book officially launched yet? Or
The book will probably be launching within a month.
okay,
We just kind of finalized everything, got everything to where we want it to be. We're creating, the place where people can go purchase it, just to make it something fun and easy for parents to get to.
right. So what is the official title of the book, and what was the inspiration?
So the official title of the book is the Sports Parents Playbook: How to Hold Your Kids Accountable for Their Success. And really, it comes down to one day I was just there, and I train a bunch of kids at my facility called the Lab, my baseball facility in Canton, Michigan, and I just saw how kids were coming in and leaving out, right?
Right.
And I was wondering, like, what happens after they leave me? Because when I'm training them, I'm holding them accountable.
Right.
I'm making sure they thank their parents. I'm making sure they do a good job. I'm making sure that the investment the parents are making, the parents are getting what they pay for,
Right.
right? So just how to hold those kids accountable for their own success and not letting them just go through the motions,
Right.
so teaching those life lessons. So that was really the inspiration behind putting the book together.
So let's back up on the history of
hmm
you in baseball. How long have you been in baseball? When did the facility open? You know, what's the pedigree? What's the background that gives you the knowledge and the ability to write such a book?
so I'll take you way back. I played my college ball at Grambling State University.
Okay.
Come out of Grambling, stop playing, going through life, have a son, right?
Right.
He's 5 years old. Sign him up for T-ball. T-ball starts. We start playing coach pitch, kid pitch, and I'm assistant coaching the team.
Right.
Well, the guy that was the head coach, he was a hockey coach, so he coached the first half, and then after that, he said, "Oh wait, you're way better at this than me." So then I became the head coach. He became the assistant coach,
Okay.
and it just started from there. Got a group of kids. Most of those kids stuck with me throughout. They ended up playing college baseball, just like my son, and it just grew from there.
Right.
So, one of the moms on the team where I first started coaching travel, she built a pole barn in her backyard,
Wow.
and that's where I actually started like working with my son, training other kids in this pole barn. She put a heater up in there,
Right.
lights. We put a net up. I mean, you see it on my Facebook page. Sometimes I share like that's the first place
Right.
we started, and then there was an indoor baseball facility in Canton, Michigan, that the guys were coaching there, and they were trying to get out of it. And
Okay.
I was like, man, somebody called me and was like, if you don't take it over, somebody else is going to take it over, and they may not, do it the right way.
Right.
So me and my business partner, Tyron Bond, we just stepped up, took it over, and built the whole thing out,
What
and,
what
and
year
here's
is
what it's
this?
today. That was 8 years ago.
Okay.
So 8 years ago, we actually opened on Martin Luther King Jr. birthday.
Okay.
So that's a day where we allow kids to come in, hit for free. Our coaches show up. We do different things where we teach them the game, trying to
Right.
get kids involved in it. But it's been very successful. I mean, I have 4 trainers in there.
Wow.
They are fabulous trainers. They are jam packed. I'm jam packed. The place is totally rented out,
Okay.
and we still try and get the public in there so that they can get a feel for it. But we just
Right.
some older guys that just train.
So do you guys train individuals, or do you have teams that come out of your training facility, or
Yeah.
do teams come there,
So
or
we have teams. So I've been doing the business for a while. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings are all booked with teams.
okay.
Then I leave training available for Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons for the trainers.
Okay.
So I kind of figured out the business model and how to
Right.
maximize the time
Right. That's
and the
awesome.
space to really make it work.
No, that's awesome. But you don't have, what's the name of the facility?
It's called the lab.
The lab doesn't have the lab all stars team or anything,
No, we
correct?
don't. We have
Okay.
a team that comes out there. Jaden and some of the players that I've coached, the Detroit Bees. So the
Okay.
Detroit Bees is kind of like the main team
The
comes
Detroit
out of there.
Bees.
But we have a lot of other a lot of other teams that utilize the facility as well.
Okay, okay. So over that, I can imagine you've seen tons and tons of kids
Oh,
and success
the
stories.
number 13 player in the country
Wow.
comes out of there. He goes to Georgetown, Owen Carpellotti. Corbin Dickerson, who's one of the top players to come out of Indiana. He's at Indiana right now playing. I was watching some of his video last night. Very talented player. Was drafted by the Minnesota Twins. I mean, and these are guys whose pictures hang on the wall
Right.
there. I got a wall. I call it my hard work wall. And
Okay.
these guys earn the right to be up there.
It's amazing. The more I get to know you, the more our stories parallel. We started the Kings. My son turned 5. He was going to Purcell Baptist, and I went to
Yep.
the school and was like, "Okay, we starting the T-ball team. I need you to play, you to play, you to play." And of
Yes.
course, I didn't. I just wanted a T-ball team.
Yep.
And it was amazing how parents, even at 5, were like, "No, my son's gonna play basketball and
Right.
football. We're not doing
Right.
baseball." But then we got out there, and everyone had so much fun, and it just grew. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
I had no intentions on doing tournament baseball, no intentions on having 5 or 6
Right.
teams in the summer.
Sleeping in
You know,
in the car because you're tired,
yes,
getting off
yes,
work and just coming in your work. I actually taught Jaden how to hit in our basement. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just a pop up net. I tell everybody, just get you a pop up net and a tee and some
right.
wiffles, and just start swinging.
Start swinging.
That's what you have to do. I mean, it takes that. 10,000 hours. Try and maximize the time. I actually started. I'm the president of the GCBY association. It's the Greater Canton Youth Baseball Softball Association
Wow.
in Canton, Michigan. Been the president, I think, for 10 years. Been trying to quit for 8. They won't let me quit, but it's okay.
Right.
And then from that, I started a program called Small Ball.
Okay.
And Small Ball is where we take kids that are like, believe it or not, 3, 4, 5 years old, teach them the fundamentals, and then at the end of that 6-week period, they play their first T-ball game.
Wow.
Man, you should see these kids play when they know where to go to first base, where they know how to play the game, which
Right.
then has enhanced baseball in that area
Wow,
because
that's
kids
amazing.
started out knowing. So I put together the whole program. I didn't even have a kid that could play in it. And I'll be out there and I get volunteers and stuff, and the program's still going on today. And we have no less than probably 100 kids that show up for
Right.
that program every year.
No, you need to send that.
I have it all
program. Yeah, you need to
documented.
document that and spread that around the country because
Yes.
that's the hard thing. One thing I noticed immediately, and it sounds crazy, but kids don't play kickball at recess.
Yes.
And kickball, believe it or not, in my opinion, is the fundamentals of baseball.
It is.
Because you're learning force outs, you're learning how to tag
Yes.
up, and you're learning the strategy of the game.
Yes.
But no disrespect to soccer, but everybody plays soccer now. But we play kickball non-stop. So we learn positions.
Yes.
We learn, keep the ball on the ground,
Yes.
kick it in the air. We learn double plays,
A
triple
bunt,
plays.
all those kind of things.
Yeah, all of that. Fastball, fast. I used to like mine
Right.
fast and smooth.
Bounce the
So, yeah,
curveball.
yeah.
All those things were interesting. You get that kid that can really kick it. You had to put a different spin on the ball.
Right.
It's so those concepts really do translate well over to baseball, and I think that's why I gravitated to baseball because I was like, okay, I know where second base is, first
Right.
base. The fundamentals were taught there. So you bring up a really
And
good
so
point there.
yeah, so growing up here in Kansas City, we used to go to we called it St. Augustine
Yep.
for so many years. I think the real name is St. Augustine.
Uh-huh.
But we said St. Augustine.
Right.
Off of about 80th and Purcell. We would go there, ride our bikes, and we would play every day.
Yeah.
We would play until it was time to actually go to the real baseball practice or a
Yep.
real baseball game.
Every day.
But just those fundamentals growing up. So teaching baseball, like you said, that small ball, you're teaching completely new concepts.
Yes.
Like I started playing baseball when I was 7, but probably was going to my brother's games at 6. But no one ever had to teach us how to throw.
Yes.
It probably would have helped, but we already came in knowing how to throw or how to, we at least swing it. But we've swung something before. But
Yeah.
you had kids trying to launch it this way like a grenade.
Yep.
Just have never thrown anything.
So
at
we
the
teach
age of
them
5.
those fundamentals. There's 4 stations they go through: hitting, running, catching, and throwing. So
Right.
they just continuously for 6 weeks rotate around to those until they master it, right? And then we get them on the field to where then they know where to move and how to get the out. And all we teach them is get the out at first. That's
Right.
it.
That's
I
it.
don't teach
That's
them
it.
nothing else. Get the out at first.
It's funny that you say that. When we elevated to machine pitch,
Mm-hmm.
which in Kansas City is 7 and 8,
Mm-hmm.
we made it to the machine pitch state tournament. We're in the
Okay.
machine pitch state tournament. It's probably not even quarterfinals yet.
Right.
Well, it might have been. It might have been quarterfinals. I don't know. Um, but we were advancing, and again, I'm relearning baseball. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
play college baseball, but now there's so many words and
Right.
vocabulary around
Mm-hmm.
how to do things. For us, it was just, it was no real vocabulary. Put
No.
your elbow up,
Right. Yeah, that was it. Elbow up, elbow
bend your
down.
back when you throw.
Right. That's it.
It was there was no real vocabulary. But we played a team, and to your point, they didn't get the out at first.
Mm-hmm.
They just got the force out at second.
Yep.
So they would just let someone get on base.
Get on first.
And, third
Put your
baseman
best
could
fielders in the middle,
and
and
yep,
they just would flip the ball there, so they didn't
flip
have to
it.
make the long
They
throw.
didn't have to make the long. So third baseman never, like, we struggled with trying to put our best arm at third base because they had the longest throw. They put their worst arm at third base.
Right.
And, furthest he's going to throw it at second base. So they
That's right.
killed us on the force out at second.
Mhm.
And it was brilliant. You can debate back and forth whether that's quality baseball or not, but to win a baseball game, it was brilliant.
Right. No, that
Absolutely
makes sense.
brilliant.
That makes sense.
And teaching the kids to play kind of within their capabilities, it was
Mhm.
effective, and so changed my mindset on a few things.
Yeah, and the lab is a place. I kind of kept it away from teams because I wanted to feel like a place where everybody could come
Right.
and feel comfortable going there. Believe it or not, it's weird. We leave the place unlocked because it's inside of an ice arena. So
Okay.
people walk in, but we have everything set up to where people text us, say, "Hey, do you have any space available and can I get in?" And then everything's just set up online. So
Right.
I could take this. People have actually said, "Hey, you should franchise this and take it to other places,"
Right.
because I've built the whole system. It runs on its own.
That's
It's
amazing.
profitable and it just works. And kids actually really get better. Like
Right.
kids like coming there. And sometimes we work in small spaces. Sometimes we work in a tunnel. Sometimes kids just need to perfect their swing or perfect their throwing, and that's it.
Right.
So I've had kids that have come to me for 2 years, kids that come to me for 2 months. It doesn't matter. And I
Right.
work with all the young kids. So
Okay.
I got some 8-year-olds, man, that can tear the place down,
Right.
which I'm very proud of too.
And it's amazing to see where the younger kids are going to get to because they have so much information
Yes.
so early.
Yes.
We played and then had to go back and correct. They're
Mhm.
learning things the right way
Yes.
and more efficiently. And baseball's continued to evolve with drills and the incorporation of what they're doing in Latin American Latin countries.
Mhm.
And those skills those kids are developing are starting to filter into
Right.
the way things are trained here. So it's going to be amazing to see how it all evolves.
And just last thing on this, baseball really has to start early. It really
Yes,
does.
absolutely.
I get 15-year-olds that come to me and they say, "Hey, they're struggling with this," but now it's me understanding like, okay, they got this weird movement they do with their hands over and over. I'm like, you got to stop. You got to
Right.
be quiet to hit. You got to. It's a really focused. Consistency is the key with hitting.
Right.
It just is. I mean, I was watching Barry Bonds today talk about hitting. It's the key, being consistent and doing the same thing over and over. It's not glamorous.
Yeah, no, not at all.
We're not
It's-
inventing
it's-
anything new.
Yeah, I mean, the baseball training is boring,
Yes,
but that's what you want it to be. Like you bored when you train and you have fun in the games.
that's it.
And that's the key is to have kids have that discipline to do it right every time. Because, I mean, let's be honest. A 75, 80-mile object coming at you,
Right.
your swing is just a reflex.
It is. It's
And
all
so-
reaction. And I tell them when we're in there practicing, I say, look, I will never expect you to be perfect in the game.
Right.
But in here, in the lab, I expect you to be perfect because we can control
You control the
everything in
environment,
here.
right.
I'm in a controlled environment.
No, that's amazing. So all of that knowledge comes in and is about sharing. So you shared your information and your experience through the lab.
Yes.
And now you packaged it up and you're going to be able to share it worldwide because it's on the internet.
Yep.
And the Sports and Parents Playbook, it's an ebook.
Yep.
And I'm excited because I've had a chance to preview it.
Right.
And it's beautiful. It hits points. It's something that parents can read in the car when they're dropping their kid off
Yep.
on their phone,
Yes.
on their iPad. Kids can read it. They can work together. There's a
Mm-hmm.
workbook incorporated. So let's just go through and
Yeah.
kind of talk about the chapter. I think chapter one is what, setting the foundation.
It's setting the foundation. Like, how do you set the foundation for your kids' success,
Right.
right? And really saying, okay, what are the things that I know as a parent that then I can say, hey, this is going to help my kid be successful in sports, right?
Right.
Everybody's going to have that last game, that last hit, that last touchdown they score. But these things are the things that build a foundation for them as they go through life.
Right.
So that was my first thing, where how do I set them up for success to start? And that's why the first title is, setting the foundation. And once you have that foundation built, now you can build on it. So as you read through the book, you'll see these things called success huddles.
Right.
That's where, what is a huddle? Parents come together,
Mm-hmm.
kids come together,
Mm-hmm.
and they huddle and they talk about things. And then I put these things in there called drills, and then I put thing in there called Mark's, coaches play.
Right.
So there's a play that you run, there's a success huddle that you do, and then there's drills that you do at the end of each chapter. And
Right.
that kind of sums it up so the parents can remember things quick. Because let's just face it, man, we're so busy on different things, and we want to be able to instill these things in our kids.
Right. And I think with that first chapter, setting the foundation, it's important for parents to decide, what do I want my family
Yes,
to get out of my kid playing the sport?
exactly.
And it's definitely a family decision. You want
Mm-hmm.
your family to get something out of it. One of the things that I realized early on, especially starting at T-ball,
Mm-hmm.
is for that kid that's constantly highly energized and constantly in trouble, quote unquote, in
Mm,
trouble at school. He's not the best student. He's got a lot of energy. Teacher has to always redirect him. A lot of times that sports game is the one time where everybody in the family is celebrating this kid.
yes.
He's finally doing something right. You're riding in the car and we all have on orange shirts because little man in
Right.
the back has a game today.
Right.
And that does something, but parents understanding this is the time to celebrate this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times we start talking about playing in college and going D1
Mm-hmm.
way too early.
Way too early.
And let's just focus on the right now of, this is something that gives our family something to look forward to.
Right.
It's teaching my kids some structure,
Mm-hmm.
some discipline, physical exercise, teamwork. So that first chapter, setting the foundation, is important for them, for
Yeah.
families to come together and say, this is what we expect out of sports. And then, as things come up, that's beyond our
Right.
expectations or out of the realm of what we want to do. So no, we're not gonna pay 3,000 for the
Right.
winter workout
Right.
and 22,000 for the summer
Right.
league and go play on the moon. That's,
Mm-hmm.
we just want it for this. So developing that core set of things that you want to get out of it and that foundation,
Right.
is
That
is
that
is,
was
is great.
just my whole thing, and I looked at my own setting, how I set up my foundation for my own sons that played and my daughter that played as well.
Mhm.
What was the foundation that I wanted to do, and then could I continuously grow as a parent? And the parent experience is very important.
Yes.
I mean, I always tell parents, when I talk to the parents of the kids that I train, are they having a good time?
Right.
Are they
Yeah.
seeing the improvement? Are they feeling that they're getting, a return on their investment? Because I had that posted in there. I had these, lab rules posted in there. And the very last one, it says, thank your parents every day because they're the reason you get this opportunity. That's number 11. So after you
Right.
read everything else, that is the last one. And I always say number 11 is the most important one. Thanking your parents.
Thanking your parents. That's amazing. Chapter 2,
Yeah.
success. I mean, you just lay that foundation now. Now
Yep.
what does
Preparing.
success mean?
Success comes in many different forms. It could be um, a kid that was struggling with even just making connection with the ball to now be able to hit the ball consistently off the tee. Or the success could be, hey, I really want to do this.
Right.
And, I can't wait to go train with Coach Mark or Coach Orlando or Coach Rick or Coach Ryan or Coach Keith every single week.
Right.
I look forward to that. So that is how do we prepare them for success, and making sure that success looks like small wins that
Right.
turn into big wins, right? So when the kids are there and they come out and they're like, "Oh man, that was a great session," or I really feel like I'm getting better, and you shake their hand and they look you in the eye and Now you're building on their success. You're building their
Right.
confidence. And this is a confidence sport, man. You know it. It can destroy it.
It can destroy it or build it.
You're right.
My son's in college and he just called me and said, "Dad, they say I'm too arrogant. Like I don't get shook, you know."
Hmm.
And it's like, I mean, confidence can be spoken. When somebody's trying to break you,
Yes.
and you standing firm on what you believe,
Right.
and had you've had slumps,
Hmm.
you've had droughts.
Right.
You can see your way through it. So it builds that type of character. But what I love about baseball is there's so many games within the game which are opportunities for success.
Right.
Whether you're pitching, whether you're hitting, you fielding the ball, you have those opportunities for success, and you know that's what makes the game amazing. And it takes a completely different skill set to be good on offense than it takes to be on
Right.
defense.
It's the most individual team sport you will play. We've
Yes.
said that before. I mean, all eyes are on you when the ball is hit to you. No one else can come over there and catch it for you. When you're in the batter's box, no one can come up there and hit it for you. It
Right.
just doesn't work like that. So, but you have to play as a team. You have to understand your role in doing that. So, preparing them for success is, do they understand what we're trying to accomplish here?
Right.
Why I put you in this sport? Why you come and train?
Mm-hmm.
What else are you learning from this? Because I asked them about their school. I asked them what they ate for lunch. I mean, I just, and they have to trust the person that's training them.
Right.
They have to. They have to see that my son is successful, the guys on the wall are successful that I've interacted with, or else they won't trust you.
Right. The single most thing that made the Kings successful, I would say, is communication
Yeah,
and organization.
absolutely.
Um, and being able to communicate with the parents. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is before all the apps were created. We had a text
Right. I
thread.
know,
this
right?
this this was back when I don't know if you remember this, when there was a limit to how many people you
Oh
can
yeah.
include on the text.
Yeah.
That's when we started coaching. But you mentioned chapter 3, communication
Yes.
and support. Like how important and what do you cover in that?
So communication and support is, how do you actually talk to your son or your daughter and getting them prepared, right?
Right.
That communication is so key. I am just now becoming a better communicator. I haven't been over my years, and I said,
It's
man,
evolving with
I
time.
really need to work on that. And sometimes you say stuff and you know how it sounds in your mind, but how it sounds to other people is completely different, right? So when you set up the right communication
Right.
and you reinforce it and you say, does that make sense? Even when I'm training, okay, tell me if this makes sense. If not, then I need to communicate in a different way.
Right.
Support is, okay, now I am supporting you in you becoming a better player, a better person. So I merged the two in this chapter to say communication here and support come together,
Right.
because they're going to ebb and flow and go back and forth on making sure that each other is successful. But communicate, you've been a great communicator. I know that what you do here has helped your sons and helped you be a better communicator. I've seen it. I've been watching you ever since you started doing your podcast. I
Right.
mean, you just get better every single time.
No, I appreciate that, but it comes with learning.
Yeah.
It comes with learning. I mean, probably one of the lowest moments, but best teachable moments of my coaching career. My son was, I think this was still machine pitch, maybe possibly kid pitch,
Hmm.
and it's starting to get competitive. We playing,
Right.
we kind of new to tournaments, but we playing, and now we starting to have a little bit of success, and we
Hmm.
winning, and it gets a little tight.
Right.
So my son did something, I can't even remember what the play is, which
Right.
which shows you that it meant nothing.
Right.
Um, but the way we were motivated as kids
Hmm.
is different than the way you motivate a kid
Correct.
now. So I said to him, "Man, you acting like a little girl," but I
Right.
didn't say little girl
Right.
to this
Uh-huh.
8-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he gonna be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm about to go get it. I'm about to go
Right.
kill it."
Send them the other direction.
Broke him all the way down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was crushed. He was
Hmm.
crushed to the point where you had the end of the game. I don't know how the game turned out, but we get to the car. Him and his mom made it to the car first,
Hmm.
and it's like I get in the car and it's like, I can't believe you called him a little girl. And I said I didn't call him a little girl. I said he was acting like a little
Right.
girl, but the girl wasn't the word, right?
Right. Right.
So I didn't call him. I said he was acting, But then I had to sit and think about, this is my son. How important is this
Right.
game? What are the things that really motivate him? And I had to, dig deep and learn to control my words, even to the point where um, I record most of our games
Yeah.
unless something goes bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm recording the games and I'm watching. I start watching my body language.
Yes.
When a
Yes.
kid makes a mistake, do I?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
God, you know what I
Very
mean? Like,
important. Mm-hmm.
even the parents. You've seen that kid that looks back at his dad every time
Yes.
he gets up to bat or every time the ball is hitting. Like, did I do it right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned to control my body language with the reaction of plays
Right.
and my body language as I talk to umpires. Like
Mm-hmm.
I thought, here's one communication, not to go too far off, but I thought going up to umpire, taking your hat off, like humbly umpiring,
Yeah.
help me
Okay.
out. What did you see?
Right.
On the video, it looks like,
Yeah. It
so
looks like that.
I'm thinking I'm coming hat in hand, just like,
Right.
oh please help us out. But on the video, it's still, no
Right.
sound. It look like I'm about to, it's a sword or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
learning what that communication means and setting a standard, especially as parents. Like for me, once we got in the car, I never really, especially being a coach, I never really talked to my kids about
Right.
the game. It was like,
Right.
okay, we relax and time to eat or whatever. And then for me as a coach parent, I never went in the house until the game was over for me. So there were
Yeah.
times where everybody out the car, I'm in the garage for another hour or
Yeah.
two. Like, man, what happened?
Oh.
Like, how did? So I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck, just in the
Right.
garage, calling all the coaches, calling my
Right.
brother. So by the time I go in the house, it's family time. But it might take
Yes.
me a minute to get in there. But that was my sense of this is how I need to make sure I'm communicating effectively with my
Yeah,
family.
communication is key. I mean, I did that with Jaden coming out. I remember he might have been 12 and he just had stunk it up. And then, I said, I talked to him, but I talked to him obviously in a way to where, he understood. Next day he came out and just crushed it. I mean, he
Right,
had a day to remember. And it was his way of saying, I'm gonna shut you up. I'm
right,
like, okay, I respect that, right? So he had earned my respect, but then I understood I had to respect him, that he's
right.
not always gonna be on. Sometimes he's gonna struggle. I don't know what's going on in his mind as well, and I could be a better communicator. I'll tell you this short story. What I used to do with umpires before the game started, you were having a meeting at the play. I'd be like, so Mr. Umpire, I really appreciate that you're gonna have a great strike zone.
Right,
My kids are here, they're ready to swing, so I know we're not gonna have a bunch of walks today.
right.
And then it would just put them in a different frame of
Different.
mind of, oh, I
I'm
gotta call
using
a
that.
better game.
I'm using that. I'm using that.
Because now I didn't have to talk about it. I'd be like, well, we talked about this, and I really
Right.
appreciate you having a good fair strike zone for both teams because that's gonna help these players that have been working really hard. Boom, and that was it.
Right. That's beautiful.
You
That's
know?
I'm definitely using them. But something you said though that I think needs to be highlighted is you coaching your son and
Hmm.
building that respect factor.
Right.
And I'm starting to really see the benefits of this. Coaches and dads, they get the daddy coach, daddy ball, whatever.
Hmm.
We get a real hard time about that in life.
Yes, we do.
But the reality is, if you learn your son's learning style and learn how you can communicate with him
Hmm.
effectively, that's a lifelong relationship and skill and bond that you
It
have, and
is.
your son being able to trust you for your advice.
Right.
That's huge, and that comes out in sports.
Mm.
And it can work in the opposite way of
Hmm.
you screaming and coming down on them too hard, they can completely block you out. But if you
Yes.
have an open enough mind and heart to say, how can I effectively communicate with this child? And I have two,
Yes.
and it's very, very different.
Hmm.
Their learning styles are different, but understanding that I think builds a lifelong bond and a lifelong channel of I can get my information to them. They feel comfortable and confident coming to me for
Right.
advice and know that I'm gonna give it to them in that way. So kudos to you and
Thank
your
you.
son because it gets overlooked
It
of how
does.
special that can be. A lot of times we emphasize how bad it is, but when it works, it's beautiful.
In the book too, I also talk about maintaining the relationship.
Right.
It's most important, right? You never want to damage it to where it can't be repaired, right?
Hmm.
So when I'm training, sometimes I'll have the parents right there so they can hear what I'm saying.
Right.
Ask them, do they have any questions? Because they're going to be the coach that's there when I'm not there, and I
Hmm.
need them to stay engaged with their kid and not just put it all on them. Take some accountability themselves on helping them be successful.
Right. My absolute favorite chapter of the book is chapter 4,
Okay.
game day strategies.
Yeah,
Um, Baseball is a superstitious sport. I
it
mean,
is.
you have to do everything. You don't have to, but you feel like I got to do it this way, this way, this way, whether it works or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like I did this, had a great game, or I did this, had a bad game. It's what's comfortable and gets you
Mm-hmm.
in that mode and mindset. I love to be early to
Oh
a game.
yeah.
Like I like to be the first person there, and
My coaches used to say, "Yeah, what time we getting here?" And they say, "Well, it doesn't matter because Coach Mark is probably sleeping in the parking lot overnight." So, being early sets an
so
expectation of how you're going to show up and how prepared you're going to be. It
right,
also teaches your kids in life show up early. That way, I like to get there and survey things. I don't like any
yes, yes,
surprises, right?
yes,
I
yes,
don't like to get there and say, "Oh man, we forgot this or we forgot that," because then I have a chance to react, right?
right.
So those game day strategies is how is the parent really preparing? If you know that your kid plays better when they eat breakfast and they
Mm-hmm.
had it Monday through, they were going to
Right.
school Monday through Friday, you fix them breakfast every day, but for the game,
For that
you
Sunday
just,
morning 8
yeah,
a.m.
you
game, that's
just
an
let
hour
it go
away.
and you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not, you'll be fine or we'll get a snack later. No, you have to keep their routines the
Mm-hmm.
same. You're trying to build a strategy on the expectation of what they expect because
Right.
you're setting the expectation on how you want them to play. So
Mm-hmm.
those game day strategies are built there. The ride to the game. What type of music are you listening to?
Right.
What's your mindset? Are you on the phone if it's an afternoon game and you're talking to somebody at work and it's an intense conversation and maybe they got the headphones on but they hear certain things or they can see your body language and they understand you're distracted and not focused on the game. How does that affect them,
Right.
right? So making sure that you can think about what you're doing goes back to setting them up for success.
Right. So one of our most successful game day strategies,
Okay.
and we're talking youth sports. I told you about my love of kickball.
Yes.
So
That's
the
right.
8 a.m. games,
Right.
8 a.m. games. You telling the parent usually it's an hour early, but it's a Sunday or a
Right.
Saturday, so you like be there at
Right.
7:15. Or you try and give a little leeway. Um, but that means the kid is probably waking up at
Oh
6,
yeah.
5:30 or 6, because it's always going to be in the suburbs and
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
away. So the reality was the kids would get there and they pretty much zombies.
Right.
So we went through our regular routine, and I'm thinking, man, we just need a burst of energy.
Right.
We just need to wake them up.
Right.
It's not the music. Music, they can tune that out if you're
Right.
sleepy. Sleep through alarm clocks every
Mm-hmm.
day. Um, so we brought out the big red kickball.
Oh yeah.
And so after you warm the arms up, pitcher warms up, and when they see that kickball, they go through everything quick. They excited.
Right.
So we take the kickball, but we use the baseball bats. Have some throwdown bases in the outfield,
Yep.
and I don't even know what you call it. We called it kickball, but you didn't kick it. We just had a kickball, but we playing baseball.
Right.
And we had certain rules. You hit it foul. We just
Yep.
had certain rules. And you got that early morning dew on the grass. The kids are wet and
Yeah.
dirty before the game starts. It's loud. And so this was just our way to really just get the energy
I
flowing.
like
I mean,
that.
like you're not really gonna learn how to hit before the game. You're not
Right.
gonna learn how to throw a field any better. You're really just kind of burning out that nervous energy and
Mm-hmm.
warm up. So we played kickball, and it's probably a 12, 13 minute, 15-minute game
Right.
max.
Right.
But in that 15 minutes, our kids were hyped up. That was
Oh yeah.
the immediate response, like, oh, this is fun, coach, we ready to play now. The part that I didn't consider
Uh-huh.
that helped us out more than anything is now the other team
Right.
is looking at us,
Mm-hmm.
having all of this fun, and it never failed. You hear the coach say, eyes over here. Stop looking, don't worry about what they're doing. And it's
Right.
always that one person that hits the ball that kind of goes on their field. You're like, oh,
Yep.
excuse me, sorry, coach.
Yep.
Apologize. And then you had the moms with their coffee and their
Yes.
bagel. Oh, this is so cool. I wish our team would do fun
Right.
stuff like this. They're just kids.
Yep.
And that was good for 1 or 2 runs that first inning. It set
Mm-hmm.
the tone of the game and changed the trajectory.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I don't
wish I'd
know.
have known that
Yeah,
because way we used to beat teams is how we warmed up. So make it loud, make it fun,
Right.
make it energetic and stuff like that. But that would have totally put us in a totally different mindset, and we probably would have won some more games had we done that. So I like that. You totally put them in a totally different frame of mind, and then brought them right back to where they need to do.
Right.
And that's a great strategy. I mean, there's all different types of strategies that you can do, but it's what the parent does on the ride. It's what the parent does when they get there. Is how they prepare them be to and fro, and then the kids taking that and making sure that that happens.
Right. So we warmed up,
Yep.
played the game. Now what? What happens after the
I
game?
mean,
How critical is
now
that? Chapter 5.
this is really really probably one of the most important chapters. All of them are important, but that post game reflection.
Hmm.
It's understanding where your child is at. Are they down? Are they upbeat or whatever? And then how you're feeling too
Right.
about their own performance. And then are there some things that you could have did differently? So looking at yourself first and saying, did we go through our normal routines and
Right.
did we do the things to make sure that we're successful? So after that, just how you interact with your kid. I had to learn this of, do I talk to him about a certain play, or do I talk to him about something the team could have did better, and then making sure that I was being encouraging and teaching a life lesson from it, right?
Hmm.
Post game reflect. It's no different from business. You the t-shirt king.
Right.
You probably have made t-shirts wrong at some point in time. You
Yes.
said, "Man, what could I have done differently?"
Right.
So you reflect on that, and then you learn from it. So we continuously learn. It's the same thing with kids in sports. How do we continue to reflect on the good things and take the things that maybe were not as good and turn them into a positive, right? And this is where I talk about, you know, working in manifesting, right?
Right.
Manifest everything. So now I'm putting in the head, okay, next time I'm going to be more positive. I'm going to work a little harder in practice this week. I'm
Right.
going to do these things because then I'm going to prepare myself for a more successful outcome.
Right. Now this is amazing chapter 2 because coaching tournament baseball,
Mm-hmm.
there's two different. It's almost like a post game and then a post tournament,
Yes.
which is different. Like I had a specific rule, and it drove my coaches crazy, that if we had another game to play,
Mm-hmm.
everything we discussed was encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not the time to tear it all down
Right.
and then expect 30 minutes later they're gonna go play the best game of their life. If we have another game, especially that day or even the next day, if
Right.
we still have another game in that tournament, we're trying to figure out how to encourage them
Mm-hmm.
and build them up. And then come Monday, back to practice, we can break it all down.
Right.
And I'm not saying give them the real deal, but something that might sting a little bit more. But at
Mm-hmm.
this point, you're dealing with children, and you have to understand there's a difference in tournament. You can't break a kid down in the
You
middle of
can't.
tournament games and then expect them to play well. So, we had that distinction of, okay, now is the day where we can
Right.
tear the machine apart and build it back up
Mm-hmm.
before the next set of games. But it's important. Um, when I was a kid and I knew I made errors in games,
Right.
my dad would always turn it into a joke. Man, we're gonna have to get you a new glove. I think you got a hole in your glove or
Right.
something. But he
Right.
never really berated me about it. He was just like,
Uh-huh.
man, you sure you don't have a hole in your glove,
Right. I
or
mean, something is going on.
the bat is too soft. Or
Right.
something. But it was jokingly, and I think that's important. That, like you said, that ride home, that ride to the game, and that ride from the game
Mm-hmm.
can be something dangerous, and it's important for parents to understand what they could do to their kids' confidence on
Mm-hmm.
that ride home from the game.
It is, and it could cause kids to want to quit. It could cause kids to not want to do this for themselves, to want to just do it to please their parents. And that's why you have to be very careful with our words. Words and communication are so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this post game reflection, I really put in there a success huddle and some drills that parents can do that are
Right.
going to help them with this. Because I struggled with this. I didn't know how to talk to my son after he had a bad game, or maybe he didn't have a bad game, maybe the team did, but letting him know that those are still his teammates and they're going to get better, and what can he do to help them get better.
Right. Have,
Mm-hmm.
have you seen the it's a comedy meme or comedy sketch on social media where the parents are talking about how they wish their team loses, but they want their kids to win just because,
Right.
like,
Yes.
if we lose now, we can get home and enjoy the rest of
Right.
Sunday.
Right.
But if we win, we here
Oh,
all
we here all
weekend.
day. Yeah.
So, I mean, even parents really have to deal with that emotion of, do I have something that I'm trying to urge and get to, because
Yes.
that affects the energy that you
Yes.
give off to your
It
kids.
does.
Yeah.
So, no, man. And then my last chapter, maintaining balance. I mean, when you think about it, balance is so key for your kid. Like
Oh,
how
definitely.
you keep them balanced with everything they do during the week.
Hmm.
And then on those weekend tournaments where they got somewhere, they're with their friends. It's a different group of friends too, right?
Right.
Because it may not be the same kids that they go to school with. It's
Right.
a different group, and they're there to compete and they want to do well. But how do you just maintain that balance of, not doing too much, not doing too little, and then, like I said, holding them accountable for their own
Right.
success. And you've seen it with your kids on, are they bound? Are they being a kid, right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
man, adulthood comes fast, and I used
Hmm.
to tell my kids, "You be like, oh, I want to get a job. I want to get okay.
Yeah.
Trust me, you got years to
You
do
got the
that.
rest of your life
You
to do
got the
that.
rest of your life to do that.
Hmm.
Real world comes fast.
Right.
So maintaining the balance of training them, teaching them, coaching them, developing them on where they are at right there.
Right.
A 12-year-old is different from a 15-year-old.
Hmm.
10-year-old is different from a 16-year-old. So making sure that you stay at that level and don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Right.
That's the way you can maintain that balance.
And having that balance is so important. People talk about it more like in your golf game, how it hits that plateau.
Right.
But baseball is the same way.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes you have to put it down, relax your body, relax your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to it, and it's gonna get better. But you got to have something to do. For me, this chapter stands out because balance was everything in having the energy to coach, running
Yes.
a business and having the energy to coach. I will tell anybody I love coaching sports because it's the one time my brain gets to relax from the day-to-day grind of running a
Right.
business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of times I went to practice with a lot on my mind or trying to figure out a problem at work. And you
Right.
go to practice and you fully engaged and your mind has that business rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so the answer to that problem comes immediately.
It
But
happens.
that's, to me, that's true balance of being able to take your mind completely out of this. So for your kids, they studying, got this IB curriculum.
Right.
Okay, now that sport is a time to relax their mind. Now they can think about the sport, and vice versa. Had this tough studies. Now I can go play this game,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes it easier to go write this paper.
You know what's so key about what you just said? So sometimes, kids get sick or you go on vacation. Sometimes I don't see kids that I train for like 2 weeks.
Right.
They come back and man, they have some of the best sessions ever. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, because they just stepped away from it for just a little while,
Right.
And I'll ask them, have you been hitting? No, I haven't been hitting. I say, well, shoot, you could have lied to me. I said, I can't tell that you
Right.
have not been hitting. I said, that was a great session. I said, everything was on point. I said, everything just clicked.
Right.
And I tell the parents sometimes it's good for them to miss sometimes.
Yes. Yes. That
I,
fatigue sets
yeah,
in.
it's a business, but I understand that things happen. Vacations happen. Parents have things to do, and I understand that they want their kids there every single week. But I give them the grace and the space to say it's okay.
Right.
I understand things happen, so I'm not one of those that you got to be here every week and you got to do this, got to do that.
Right.
I understand. So I think that gives the parents, the space to where they feel comfortable as well.
Right. And balance is also important because with science and vocabulary and everything becoming so intense
Mm-hmm.
with sports nowadays, I mean, kids get a heavy dose of it. And
Oh yeah.
everything is, this is the Super World Series Global NIT
Right.
once in a lifetime
Right.
tournament. And then they win. But next week we got the super duper
Right.
global NIT once in a
Right.
lifetime worldwide going to Pluto,
Right.
Mars, select,
Yes.
McDonald's All American
Mm-hmm.
game. So at some point, kids kind of become numb, and
They
parents are
do.
like, "Man, this tournament costs a lot of money." And to the kids, like, "We played 3 games last week. We're gonna play 3 games this week. We're gonna play."
Yeah.
It's routine. So having that balance can also help them get excited
Yeah.
about a moment, and it doesn't
and
become too
and
routine.
building them up to that,
Yeah.
to where you could take the balance level higher every time. When we first started travel baseball, I said we're not leaving the state until we can beat everybody here in the state.
Right.
Until we can compete with the top teams in the state, there's no need for us leaving the state to go
Right.
play the top teams in another state.
Right.
Does
Yeah.
not work.
And it
So,
end up being the teams that are from here.
oh yeah, then we go play somebody that we play all the time. But that's okay. But like I said, taking the balance level up every single time.
And it's funny that you said that. When we took some of our biggest trips, I made sure that it wasn't the most competitive tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like we went to a tournament in the Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be the water park capital
Right.
of the world, which is like a nightmare for a
Oh,
coach. Thinking
man.
swimming, water,
Yeah.
that was the first thing our coaches, even Coach Mitchum said the other day, what's the one rule we had before the game? No swimming.
Oh.
So we taking the kids to the water park capital, but you make it
Yeah.
work and it's fun. But you go in with that expectation. We're gonna have some swim time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some baseball time.
Oh, the moms on my team did not like me because I would collect the swimming trunks. So guess what? I knew there was gonna be nobody swimming unless you was out there skinny dipping, and that just
That's
wasn't
funny.
gonna happen.
That's a
So
good one.
I was like, "Hey, we are here. This is a business trip," and they'd be like, "Oh, we can't swim." We would pick a hotel with where the pool was closed. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, no swimming." But you know what? Now I look back, they're kids.
Right.
That's what they want to do. The game is gonna be the game. How they
Right.
play is how they play. I mean, they was up all night anyway. So
Right.
once they got out there, they wanted to compete, and they knew what their job was.
So we had a rule. I would give them 30 minutes in the pool,
Okay.
but it was from, let's say, 5 o'clock to 5:30.
Yep.
Everybody's on the same clock.
Better not miss
yeah,
that.
if you get there 5 minutes late, you don't get 5 additional minutes.
Right.
Everybody's out the pool at 5:30. So I mean, even that was kind of a game. Come on, man, we gotta hurry up and get there. We don't lose our time.
Right.
So you just manage it, but set those expectations where kids
Right.
can have that balance. But all in all, man, this is I'm excited for it, and I know it's gonna do well. And a lot of people will embrace and need the information because it's something refreshing.
Right. And for me, this was a labor of love. I did it, and it's to help parents and things like that. And then I put on my vision board, doing 2 more books
Okay.
this year.
Two
I'm
more
gonna-
this year. It's more
2 more
coming.
this
It's more
year.
coming.
One is the next one's going to focus on high schoolers, and
Okay.
it'll be a little bit. It'll be different because now they've matured to a certain level, and still talking about parents and success, and it's still a sports parents playbook. And then the last one, of course, would be that student that's in college or at the college level,
Right.
because I now have a son that plays college baseball, and our conversations are different, right?
Mhm.
Dad, I got this. I'm a man now,
Right.
and I
That's
have
good.
to I have to understand that our conversations are different. So it goes back to maintaining balance and preparing, and how I help him prepare for his games when he struggles and different things like that. How we reflect on his at bats and stuff. It's a different conversation, but it's still the same.
Right.
It's still the same as if he was at this age, at the 6, 7, 8 year old, up to 15, to where then he's in high school to now where he's in college.
Right.
And the balance still has to be the same. And I always want to make sure I'm strengthening and maintaining the relationship.
Right. Now that's beautiful that you and your son have that relation. I can't say that enough. Just that open lines of communication, and when your son goes from being your son to I'm sure you probably get some valuable
yeah.
information and advice from him as well,
Absolutely.
and it becomes almost he's always your son.
Yeah.
But more of a peer thing, a man to man, truly a man to man
Right.
conversation.
And I have to respect that and let that grow. I see it with you and your sons, how they built their podcast, how your son has faced his challenges at Morehouse and overcome them. And that's what you want to see for your kids.
Right.
But laying the foundation and doing that, and I'm just telling you, man, parenting is tough. It just
is,
is.
yes.
It's the toughest job you're ever going to have.
Most definitely.
It's the one that you can fail at the easiest, or you can be great and continue to build on it. How you approach it, though, and listening to others, I learn from you. You learn from me. I could not do this. I could not be a good parent, and I still have my challenges if I did not learn from others. Though.
Right.
That's why this book is here.
Yes.
Can you learn something from this? And people always say, if I can learn something from a person, then we can have a good relationship, and we can communicate and stuff.
Now I'm always amazed by one, what you say, but two, how you have the energy to do so much. So you have the book here,
Yeah.
but you still have the NIL stuff going on.
I do.
Correct?
And you know what? We had a phenomenal year last year with, our Target deal and the Gorham Brothers deal. That went great. We have two deals right now on the table with two major companies. Even with everything that's going on in the world, there's still places for HBCU Icon Exchange to help businesses grow
Right.
and to help companies get a return on their investment.
Hmm.
So, in the next month or so, you'll be seeing some things that we're doing that are really going to drive sports and education and how these kids continue to build their brand and their business.
Right.
Their business. You know, I think having an entrepreneurial side to you, whether you go into corporate America and you just work there or you go out on your own, is so key. You still
Right.
have to have that entrepreneurial mindset. I didn't get that till later on in life.
Right.
I spent 25 years in corporate America. Now I'm on the entrepreneurial side, and it's
Right.
like hunt and hunt and hunt every single
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
right? You've been doing it a lot longer than what I have. You now have your own brand, T-shirt King, and it works, man. It just
Right.
works. Everybody knows you. I have a neighbor that's coming here for a family reunion. I'm sending them to you.
I
And that's
appreciate
what I'm
that.
supposed to
Yes.
do,
Right.
right? I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be able to support your business from afar. And I said, that's what we have to do these next few years is continue to support each other in that way. So, yeah, the HBCU Icon Exchange is still doing great work, and we're going to continue to. And when I come back, I'm going to have something really good to talk to you about.
So the crazy thing is, you said you got two more books. It sounds like it's a third one cooking up with teaching athletes how to manage their brand and
It,
learn their value and know their worth.
It is, and it's going to be something just from I can only pull from my experiences, right?
Right.
Which are still limited because I've only been doing this for coming up on 3.5, 4 years. But I've seen enough and experienced enough. And here's what we got to do: these schools have to be about the business, right?
Right.
They have to be ready to make business decisions because the school is one of those things where it will just take your money. So I'm trying to incorporate it to where let's make sure we're giving them something other than just the classroom experience
Right.
and the textbook experience. Let's make sure that we're giving them something where they say, "Oh, this isn't right," and go out and fix a problem.
Right.
Go out and solve something. That's where the entrepreneurial spirit really comes in. Are you solving a problem?
That's absolutely correct. And then knowing your value for solving that
That's
problem.
it.
That that
Putting the
that is
value
like
on your time and your effort. That's it. And effort is everything. And I said that. Manifest everything and effort is everything. I'll leave you with this book that I read, The Secret. Okay,
right.
we talked about that.
Hmm.
Changed everything. And I just had to get positive, powerful thought in my head about everything that I wanted to accomplish.
Right.
And that's why we're here today.
That's how it happened. I mean, it's still amazing how it evolved to this
Right.
this so quickly. But as always, it's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Appreciate you stopping
Oh
in
yeah.
and
Thanks for having me.
wishing you the best, man,
Okay.
for a
Can't wait to do
successful
it again.
2025. Yes, we'll be back. We'll
Let's
be
do it.
back. All right,
Okay.
sounds good.
Thanks, Chris.
Good.